Hello everyone, welcome to Horror Obsessed. I am your host, Blythe Slaughter, and today we're going to talk about Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2022. And it is supposed to be a direct sequel to the original, The Texas Chainsaw Massacre 1974. In the 1974 film, the final girl, the survivor of the film, was supposed to be Sally Hardesty. And her and a group of her friends and her brother get in one of those crazy VW vans and go out to check out their grandfather's grave because they heard someone was robbing graves. So they wanted to make sure their grandfather was okay. So they set out and they trek out to do that when they find this derelict home and go into it for relief from the grueling sun and driving so long. And in doing so, they uncover the Sawyer family. Now, I'm going to use Sawyer as their last name, even though in the films that continue afterwards have chosen to sometimes call them Sawyers and sometimes call them Hartlets, I think. So we're going to go with Sawyer. That was the original name that was chosen for them. And the Sawyer family is really unique in the 1974 film because you don't see a mother figure. You see Grandpa, who appears to be so old that he's almost mummified, but he still has the ability to move and act. He can't quite speak, it appears. Then there is the hitchhiker, who appears to be a brother. And then I believe that they have one other brother. Let's see, the old man, hitchhiker, and grandfather. Yeah, I think that's, if I remember correctly, that is all of them. Other than Leatherface. Leatherface comes in as wanting to be almost the mother figure, and you see that with the mask that he finally chose. And these masks are made from human faces. He cuts them off and he chooses, he delicately decides to create them into these masks. His methods are shown as like putting them on a drying rack after he's cut them meticulously off of the people that he's wanted to take them from. And he chose specifically a female figure face to put on, and in some of the films and in later films he actually sews it into his face so that it doesn't come off. In the original Texas Chainsaw, I believe he has a strap connected to it to hold it like a regular like Halloween mask. So in the timeline, so I went ahead and went to bloodydisgusting.com, give them props. They created a pretty good timeline of how this all works. The original timeline, starting with the 1974 film, then went to the Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2, which came out in 1986. And that brought us Bill Moseley in his iconic role of Chromehead. So he went to Vietnam, and something happened where they had to put a metal plate in his head. And in the film, he uses a coat hanger to scratch against it. It's very, very eerie and very excruciatingly well done. So Bill Moseley, you are an amazing actor, and I love it. In the second sequel is Leatherface, The Texas Chainsaw Massacre 3. This one changed their last names to Hartlett, I believe. Hartlett? I could be wrong. Yeah, I believe it's Hartlett. Okay. And they have a mother figure in there. They have a daughter figure in there. And then, Leatherface is given a chainsaw that says the chainsaw is family? It's very interesting, and it's a different kind of chainsaw from all of the other chainsaws he's been using, but it's like chrome plated, and it's very, very interesting. I really, really enjoyed that film. And then the final in the sequel series, the original timeline, was Texas Chainsaw Massacre: The Next Generation. And if I remember correctly, this one included Matthew McConaughey, and he does an explosive job as this psychotic, almost father figure for the family. They bring Grandpa back, but Matthew McConaughey just totally flips his gourd and starts killing and going after everyone. And apparently they have a method that they would do to kill people and bring them home, and he decides that that's not good enough, and he just goes on a spree. One of these films, I want to say, I believe it is the third one there that has Ken Faree in it. He survives in the film, and it's amazing. They have the final girl, and then they have Ken Faree, which I guess is the final guy. But he gets what, like he's battling for this life. He really is. He gets in the swamp. Yeah, it's got to be 3. I remember, because the chainsaw saying the chainsaw's family is like in the swamp facing upwards and going off, and Ken Faree decides that he's going to take Leatherface down because he's a survivalist / used to be in the military, and so he's battling, and he ends up getting severely hurt by the chainsaw and then goes down, and Leatherface goes after the final girl, who's not Sally, and she gets away from him by, I believe, pushing him back into the swamp or hitting him real hard with something in the swamp. And then she goes and finds a truck, and Ken Faree scares the bejesus out of her and shows up, so she tries to get him in the truck because he's a little out of it. And he's like, no, I gotta drive. So they put him on the driver's side, and then that's when the hitchhiker in this film gets out of the back of the truck and like beats Ken Faree over the head. And that's the final girl's time to, I believe, shoot him with a shotgun, or beat him with something. Man, I gotta rewatch all these films, don't I? So he ends up dead, and he's in the bed of the truck, so she ends up like pushing him out of the bed of the truck and getting Ken Faree into the cab of the truck, and then starts her drive. And that is one of the first times that we see a black man survive the film and survive a horror film, and it's Ken Faree. So go him. Yay. All right, so Bloody Disgusting then goes on to show the remake timeline. The remake timeline's way shorter because they went out of order, I'm guessing, and just didn't know where to go after that. So the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, the beginning, came out in 2006. And that incorporates the slaughterhouse and shows how the family was very tied into the slaughterhouse. And then Texas Chainsaw Massacre, the 2003 version, basically is completely remake of the 1974, but with new actors and actresses. So Jessica Biel, who was the hot thing in 2003, was put in this film as like the Sally character. I haven't watched the remake in a while. I did watch the beginning. The beginning had some really cool story that was fun to look at. Then we go to the reboot timeline, and again, it's a little like all over the place. The reboot was Leatherface 2017, and this is like a super prequel. So it goes back to when Leatherface is a child, and they give him a completely different name. I think this is when they go back to using Hartlett as the last names. And Hewitt is the name that they go back and forth with. So in this film, he's not a Sawyer. In this film, he's Jedediah. Yeah, Jedediah, and they call him Jed, I think. And he gets taken away from his mother, so we're back to a mother figure. And the mother figure is almost like a mob figure in this. So she has like full control of the rights to a bunch of things. Like she's actually has like a trust or has a lot of money somehow. So when the kids are taken away, it is her only priority to get them back. And they go to a home, an orphanage type home, but like they do testing on them, mental testing and things like that. So it's a very strange reboot of the story that doesn't quite fit when you go back to the Texas Chainsaw Massacre in 1974, which is supposed to be the sequel to it. And then Texas Chainsaw, the 2013 version, keeps with that very muddled timeline from the original. So it's very confusing. So now we come to what we're working with, the legacy timeline. The Texas Chainsaw Massacre of 1974 was the original film. Sally Hardesty survives the film. The truck driver in the Black Maria 18-wheeler also survives, but nobody knows because it's not talked about. And then we go to the sequel, which is Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2022, and it's supposed to be 50 years later. The only reoccurring character is John Laramie. No, I'm sorry, John Larroquette. And he's the narrator. He's the one that reads the beginning as it's scrolling up. He reads all of that to you. And it's kind of awesome. It gives you that feel that sucks you in immediately and goes, oh, this is definitely a Texas Chainsaw Massacre film. Then we kind of open up to these millennials. Dante, Melody, Lila, Ruth, and I want to say there was... No, I think that's it. Just the four start out. So what they do is they bought a ghost town. The ghost town's called Harlow. And they are going to get investors to start renting out these old homes to turn them into things like, organic bagel shops or something of that sort. Like goat yoga. Things that like don't make any sense, but it'll be a great way to get away from society and have their own little place, and that's what they're looking for. When they go to investigate the town, Dante and Melody seem to be the primary trustees on this. Like, they seem to be the money makers. They seem to be the people that I guess had some sort of YouTube channel, or I think it was a YouTube channel that they started, and they were making millions off of it, so that's how they could afford to buy this town. And they're deciding to go through the town to kind of look around and see what all is available, what needs to be rebuilt. And so they start off with like this one house, and it's really nice. So they come out of it, and then they see someone over by what they believe is the orphanage. So they go over there, and when they go in, they find a woman in there stating that she owns it. Like, she bought it back from the bank before it foreclosed. And Dante totally flips his gourd and is like, no, we own it. We own everything. We bought the whole town. We bought it from the bank. Like, we have the deeds. Show us the deed. If you have the deed, show us the deed. And she, goes to try to find the deed, and she says where it is, and then she starts having a heart attack, and they call for, I guess, an ambulance, 911 or whatever the case is, the police, the local police. And I do say that the police show up. They use a van for some reason, and they put her in the back of it, and they have Leatherface get in the back of the van with her, and Dante's girlfriend, Ruth, says she's going to go with him because she wants to make sure that the mother survives and that she's okay. So on the way to the hospital, the mother dies. She doesn't make it. Her heart just gives out. And Leatherface, the police know what's about to happen, and they start like, no, it's okay, Leatherface, but they don't call him Leatherface. They, I don't even know what name they use, to be honest. I don't remember them even saying a name, but they said, it's okay. And then he just flips his gourd, and he starts killing, and he takes his mother's face and put it on him. And that's when he kills the last police officer and then murders Ruth. Again, this is going to be spoilers, so if you haven't seen it, why? Go see it. What's wrong? What are you waiting for? It's on a streaming service. Watch it. Oh man. And then yeah, so Dante can't get a hold of Ruth anymore. Ruth was in contact with him. So he's like, okay, we gotta prepare because the bus of people that potential buyers are on its way and it's almost here. Like, we gotta take care of this. And so Melody keeps voicing concern about canceling everything and taking care of this one situation, because the fact that someone died because of a confrontation that they had really freaks her out. So she goes in and she finds the deed, and she finds out that it was their fault that she died. So she is really upset by this. And Dante's like, no, we'll just, cover it up. We can't deal with this right now. We have investors and all that kind of stuff. And I think a call goes out over the radio saying that there's I think Ruth makes like her final phone call to either 911 or someone, but she describes what is going on about him putting the face on and then coming over and killing her. And that call reaches out to Sally Hardesty, who we find out is a Texas Ranger now, and that she has spent the last 50 years working towards finding Leatherface and getting justice / retribution. So, the original Sally, her name was Marilyn Burns. She died. So they found someone that looked a lot like what she looked like at the end of the film. Alwyn Forty, I believe is how she pronounced her name. I could be wrong. But she looks just like Sally. I thought for sure that they brought Marilyn Burns back. And then I was like, no, isn't she? Okay. So the look-alike is amazing on this. The story gets very, like, it goes from 0 to 60 in like a second. As soon as Leatherface completely kills everyone in the van, everything, he goes back to the town and he starts murdering the buyers. He starts murdering anybody he can get a hold of. Lila, who I haven't talked about yet, is Melody's sister. She apparently went through some trauma when she was a little bit younger, not much, but maybe a year or two younger, where she was in a school shooting. And since then, her sister Melody has been kind of watching over her and taking care of her because she felt that her sister Lila was fragile. And I get that, because as someone with PTSD, sometimes you feel like your world is made of glass and you're about to shatter everything. But Lila holds it together, and she does an amazing job because she takes the shotgun and she goes after Leatherface when Sally goes down. Because Sally does, I mean, she faces Leatherface, starts her monologue, and then Leatherface just like right into her shoulder puts the chainsaw. And like, he has no recognition of what's going on, but Sally does. Sally's like, I remember you. Do you remember me? And then he's like, I'm just gonna kill you. And that's when she like just resigns for a little while. She's laying in this trash and dying. And that's when Lila takes the shotgun and starts going after them. And Texas Chainsaw, woo! Leatherface just knocks her aside, and the shotgun goes off to one side, and she's laying on the ground, just like totally in that moment from when she was in school. Like, she feels the memories come through, and it paralyzes her. It gives her that moment of like, oh my gosh, this is gonna happen again. I'm going to be a victim again. And sometimes you can't snap out of that. Sometimes you're stuck in that, and you get into a cycle that you can't get out of. And her sister picks up the shotgun and starts going at it, like totally tears Leatherface apart, picks up Lila, and they start running. I believe in one point they get on the bus as they're trying to get off the bus, because Leatherface goes on the bus and starts just taking the whole bus out, all of the people on the bus. Blood is everywhere. It's one of the goriest scenes in the entire film. It's amazing, gorgeous. And it's like a final battle kind of thing going on with Melody, Lila, and then Leatherface. They're kind of at the end, like trying to do this, and then Sally finds enough energy to use the shotgun and finally takes down Leatherface. So we get that beautiful ending that we all want. So overall, I think that the film is very well done. I think that they did put a lot of thought into how they wanted to bring back Leatherface, how they wanted to bring back Sally. I think that the story in between was definitely just to add kill count. I feel like they didn't really get very far on whatever plot they were trying to add to the story there. And the kills were exactly what you were looking for. It was chainsaw versus shotgun. Like, there was kills. There was lots of them. A whole bus full of kids that you didn't care about because they didn't show you any of them for more than a minute or two. They didn't give them hardly names. I think like maybe 2 or 3 of them had names, and that was it. I think we had more sympathy for Mrs. MC, the mother figure for Leatherface in the orphanage, than we did for the kids on the bus. Overall, I would give the movie, like, was it a good sequel? No. Was it a sequel we needed for the retribution of Sally? Yes. Could they have done better? Definitely. So, let's say out of 10 chainsaws, I would probably give this a solid 7 chainsaws. Like, there's a lot of kills in it. There's a lot of blood and gore. There's Sally's retribution. There's Leatherface. Coherency? No, not really. Good showmanship for Melody and Lila? Definitely. Dante's death? Totally worth it. Ruth's death? Kind of a sad one. I kind of wanted to, she seemed a lot nicer. So overall, I think that it deserves to be watched. In the Texas Chainsaw Massacre roulette of films that we have out there, it deserves its watch, not to be ignored. So thank you for watching The Horror Obsessed, and watch more horror, please.